Hi, it's me, Ingrid INFP, and I'm going to be talking about a subject that's been talked about before on other INFP channels, but that I haven't really talked about, and it's the possibility of aliens. Psycastrol just came out with a video about aliens, and he believes that aliens are trying to make contact with us, and that he's welcoming the aliens to make contact. I don't think that I'm going to meet an alien in my lifetime. And I don't know if humanity will ever meet aliens in the whole lifespan of humanity. That's my opinion. I think it's not useless to look for alien life. I think it's an interesting endeavor, but I don't think that we will meet aliens face to face as humans, considering that humanity has only a set amount of time on Earth, and I think that the Earth also is only going to be present for a certain amount of time. Yes, a long amount of time, granted, but it is only a short amount of time in the length of the universe. So, I mean, the universe has been around for a long, long time. Don't ask me for any numbers, but I'm just saying that, to me, yes, aliens exist. I think that there is a probability that there is life outside of planet Earth. How that life looks like, I don't know. It might be, I don't know if life outside of Earth would evolve with like cells and such. If they would be pluricellular beings with like limbs and stuff. If life would just be unicellular, or if it would be just like plants, or maybe bacteria, or they could create like whole civilizations and be more advanced technologically than we are, and maybe be able to like quantum leap across space and reach us, or to somehow have found the ginormous amount of energy and honed it into their technological machines to get all the way across the universe to see us. But I find that unlikely. I don't want to boast that we're the most technologically advanced, but I think that even if there were a life form that were technologically advanced enough to go across the galaxy or across several galaxies, the probability that they would find us on little planet Earth across the entire universe is very extremely minute. Now, apparently on American news, they've been talking about aliens and that there are UFOs, and that this is something that the government has talked about. I think that it was like 2-3 years ago that they admitted to finding UFOs, and that like UFOs were a thing. Now, if UFOs are alien life, that's another thing, which we can't really prove as of yet. I don't think that there is a huge conspiracy hiding aliens, because somebody would have talked about it. And sure, there are a lot of people who talked about seeing aliens, okay? But none of them have given a convincing, a convincing portrayal of what an alien life would be like. None of them have been able to prove their claims. So I think that alien life has not made any contact that we've been able to detect. Maybe aliens have been able to have tried to contact us from way across the universe. Or maybe they live on another dimension that we can't access to. But they are not able to reach us in our own dimension. And with the technologies that we have. It would be cool, though, it would be cool. But so I was looking up like the definition of life. What is life? And so it's like biological, organic matter, beings, and beings, like life is composed of several beings, right? Each being is alive. And this could be an entity that is a plant, or an entity that is a human, or a mouse, like animals, mushrooms, algae and plants, and bacteria. Now, virus is a little bit more difficult to classify as a form of life, because viruses basically only replicate in host cells. So they can't do all of the functions without being dependent on another form of life. So we're not even sure that viruses are alive. But so what do forms of life have to do? So I looked it up on Wikipedia, and it says that they have to be capable of growth, of reproduction, have some kind of functional activity or response to stimuli, be able to adapt to changes in the environment, or to continuously change, to signal either between different cells or between themselves, have a metabolism and a homeostasis. And all of these living things die. So all of this change and all this activity is only for a certain period of time, and then there's death, in which this activity is not present. So that's the definition on Earth. This has been, the information has been encoded through DNA or RNA at first, and this information has has been sent generation to generation, and this is so that these forms of life create proteins. Inorganic matter does not create proteins. Proteins are like the stone, the building blocks of life. And so, and it's carbohydrates, but different kinds of rocks have carbohydrates. But it's mostly like carbon and hydrogen, not together, So in life, it's mostly carbon and hydrogen. And this is a very common molecules, carbon is very common, and water, and this is what they're looking for. They're looking for carbon and water to see, like, okay, these things do exist in the universe, but are they in enough composition? What's the composition of the atmospheres of the different planets? There are some animals or plants that can survive in very harsh conditions on Earth, so maybe they could live on another planet with harsh conditions. However, it seems at the moment that Earth is somehow perfectly adapted to having life on it, compared to all of the other planets that have been discovered so far. There are these, planets that are similar to Earth that are being studied, in terms of like temperature, how far they are from the star, how is their gravity situation, and yeah, so there is a chance of having life, but maybe not as much life as Earth has. Or maybe there is a planet that has as much life as Earth has, and has like forms of life that has created civilizations like humans have. I don't know. That is unlikely, but not impossible. I don't think that anything is really impossible. I just find certain ideas that people have about aliens pretty improbable. Like, okay, I'm not a scientist in this sense. I'm not a astrophysician, but astronomer. I do not really care for physics most of the time, but it is interesting, like how, like what are the things that people are looking for, what were the conditions of the planet in order for, you know, the planet's formation. And you know, I took a geology course, so I looked into like how different stones and mountain ranges and volcanoes are formed and all that, how life was formed, you know, the biology there. And you know, what is life really? You can start getting into really philosophical things, you know, once you get there, of like what made us alive? How could life pop up on Earth out of all places? What started all this? And you know, it would be fun to meet an alien species and to like communicate with them or observe how they do things. Maybe we can't really learn that much from communicating with them, but maybe just, you know, getting some kind of signal from them and trying to interpret it. I find it very beautiful that, you know, it was a while ago, but many years ago they sent up like these golden plates to space to like show the best of humanity and the sorts of things that these scientists thought were like representative of humanity, and that would be the message that we would send out to the universe for the aliens of our existence. You know, how do you sum up humanity in a certain like finite amount of information that's contained on these like golden plates, or plates, not like a record, like a golden sheet. You know, like engraved on it, there are this information of like, you know, different languages are are on that sheet, and you know, our coordinates to find planet Earth. And you know, there's a drawing of a man and a woman, and you know, we're not sure that aliens will be able to understand the dimensions that we are trying to communicate in. You know, maybe aliens can't see, you know, maybe they can't hear in the way that we can. Maybe they can like sense ultraviolet light or something, or maybe they could sense magnetism. You know, there are all sorts of ways that maybe life could sense things that we as humans can't. You know, even on planet Earth, we have animals that, you know, have sonar, like dolphins and such, and whales, and we can't communicate with animals on our own planet, let alone like aliens. I mean, we can communicate on a certain level, I guess, with certain animals. I guess that you could communicate with all animals in a certain way, given the modalities that you choose to do. You know, like, I guess that you can't really communicate much with an ant. But maybe if you give them food, like something sweet, they will go towards that food. But I don't know if we can communicate really with ants. Maybe with like life forms that have a brain that's a little bit more similar to ours. Like we can, we have our, like dogs and cats can understand a lot, but, and wild animals, but aliens is like a whole other thing. So I don't know if we'll ever, first of all, get to meet an alien from all across space, and that we would also be able to communicate with these aliens, or that they would be able to communicate with us. I find the possibility so extremely unlikely. I find it funny though that like the US is so interested in aliens. I think the US is more interested in aliens than most other countries. I think that the pop culture, I don't know, just the fact that I guess a lot of the middle of the US is, is pretty uninhabited. Maybe that kind of like leads to people wondering about space. There's so much space. The US is so big, that maybe that kind of leads to that kind of wondering. But also, like media and the stories that we tell between each other. I think that like in general, I think more Americans are more interested in this finding aliens than Europeans, at least from what I've seen. I'd be interested to know what you guys think. You guys live in different countries. I find that sometimes we kind of live in our own bubbles of like, this is the news cycle. I don't think that it's a big thing. I mean, like here, the news cycle in Sweden at the moment has been like, there has been ice on the street, and apparently a soldier at the Royal Palace in Stockholm, like, slipped and had a bayonet and he, like, died. And that was, like, the news for the day, And it's like, and so that was the news in Stockholm. In my town, the news was like, there was a hole in the ice on the street. Okay, it wasn't like a hole in the ice and the water. There was a hole. And the only thing that my town's newspaper had to say that day was like, that there was a hole in the ice. And this old lady, had noticed the hole. And she had stood there and warned people about the hole. I've seen the hole, okay? The hole is like this big and like this deep. And they put a cone on top of it. And that was all, like that was big news. That was like one of the like front cover news in my town. So I think that we can become so blinded in the news that we see. I think that if aliens were to come, it would not just be news in one country. I think it would be news across the world. Like in the movie Arrival. I think that's kind of, that's the whole world would know. Either that, or like we aren't able to make contact with the aliens, or like we're not able to catch their signals. I think that if the media was blasting it to like everybody in the entire world, or everybody that's able to receive news channels in some way, whether it's through like the internet or TV or newspapers or whatever, it would be, front news for everywhere. So yeah, I don't think that it has happened. I don't think that's, even if there were people who were like under top secret instructions to not tell anyone, I think that it would somehow come out. And also, I want to believe that humanity would want to give this sort of information, because I think that we're naturally curious creatures. And I think that what would hiding it do? What was there to gain from that? I think that, like, why would aliens also just like go to one person and leave? They've come all this way. I mean, we don't know the aliens' ways, but I have a hard time believing that aliens would go across the galaxy and then come to Earth and then just meet one person. Or they would decide to contact the governments and not meet any people on the way, and why would the government hide it from the people? Like, what kind of leveraging would that be, I guess that they don't want to worry people, if there's a threat. But, the government is always worrying people in many different ways, worrying people about like, oh, there's a threat of war and threat of, all sorts of things. Even North Korea is like, making people worried about the threat of war and all of that. That's a very effective strategy. They are hiding many things from their people in North Korea, but I don't think that I don't think that humanity would hide aliens from the rest of humanity. I don't think that there would be a reason that would trump all other reasons, but who knows? Maybe somebody has a better explanation of why aliens would need to be hidden. Maybe it would be like a condition that the aliens would have. Like, they'd be like, you need to keep a secret or otherwise we'll bomb the entire planet or something. And then that person would have to keep quiet. Yeah, possibly that, I guess. But so I don't understand why they would be releasing information now of like, oh, there's UFOs. UFOs could be whatever, just because we haven't identified the object doesn't mean that it's an alien. Sometimes there are conspiracy theories of like, oh, the pyramids were actually constructed by aliens, when it was like actually just ancient Egyptians were so clever, and there are all sorts of myths about things are on our own planet, like people thought that the pyramids were constructed by slaves, when actually it seems like it was actually constructed by people who were paid. Also, the construction, they thought that the construction was made in a certain way when actually it wasn't. It was made in another way. I forget how it was made, but it was like ramps, or if there was some other technique that they were using, I forget. But you know, pyramids were created by people and not by aliens. And yeah, it's easy to go into conspiracy theories when you start talking about aliens. I think that aliens exist, basically, but that they haven't made contact with us, and that we probably will not be contacted by aliens anytime in our lifetimes or in anybody's lifetimes. But you know, I can't speak for something that happens like thousands and thousands of years from now. But as as the world seems like today, I don't think that is going to happen anytime soon. Unless they make some new discovery that like changes the parameters of the game completely. But at the moment, with the information that we have, I don't think that we're going to meet the aliens. So yeah, tell me what you guys think. I mean, I'm open to possibilities, I guess, but this is the conclusion that I've come up with just thinking about aliens for a while. So yeah, have a great day, everybody. Bye.